that Saul found Samuel is the way Saul will find Samuel in the end. Saul found Samuel looking for a seer. He went to look for someone to give him insight as to how to find his father's cattle, how to find that which his father made him responsible for. He lost what his father made him responsible for. And in looking for it, he goes and he searches out a seer. And he walks into a blessing. But Saul's life would go full circle, and he will prove himself to be a terrible investment. Horrible. An embarrassment, actually. But just what God needed to set up a tremendous alley-oop. David. And in Saul looking to get direction because God had gone silent on him, and Samuel had transitioned, Saul will go and do the same thing again. He will go and consult someone, a seer, a witch this time. Anybody that'll get the job done to get to Samuel, to wake up the dead, to get clarity about his tomorrow. I'm here to tell you that if the way people will, if a person cannot go about doing things a legitimate way, they'll do it any way that they can, friend. Look at Saul. They will do it any way that they can. He couldn't find a prophet amongst God. He couldn't speak to God by way of any of the prophets of the house because of his own doing. His own seasons when he could have gotten it right. He decided not to. And he didn't tell anyone. He didn't let the people of the house know that God had decided to close the chapter of his leadership. And that he was just holding space until God found somebody to replace him with. He never said anything. He wanted to keep the whole theatrical play going in the hopes that God never find anyone in his lifetime and he just transitioned out and then God replaced him. That had to have been his mindset. And this is the primary reason why we will come to see he hunts David. He creates a whole campaign against David that I'm sure every single person in his camp is wondering, why are you bothering this man like this? It was because he was afraid. Because he knew that David was his replacement. Even though David didn't want to be it. And fear is what drove him forward. And fear is what drives many forward, friend. It is a spirit of fear. It is not the spirit of love. It's not the spirit of courage. It's not the spirit of righteousness. It's not the spirit of manliness. It's not the spirit of womanliness. It is the spirit of fear. They shaking in their boots. Saul was so afraid because Saul knew all the wickedness Saul had done against David, and Saul knew that Samuel had told him that he would be replaced. Who? Stuck between a rock and a hard place. A nobody made into somebody. That's all. Who would then act like God could not do it again. Who would look down on David and anybody else as if God could not do it again. Who would forget that that is just how God ordained him. That he came from the same place, yet with less. Saul did not have belief in himself like David. He doubted himself tremendously. He did not see himself worthy of being amongst such prestige and honor and righteousness. He had to be coaxed into it. All the years he fumbled, he hid, made it seem like he's the greatest ever. Next time you see him, he's under the pomegranate tree, relaxing with all of his men. People pleasing. Trying to keep everybody cool so that nobody challenges it. Because he's not who he portrays himself to be. He uses violence and fear tactics against God's beloved, of which would pile nothing but curses upon him that he would not be able to come from up under. He finds Samuel by inquiring of a seer. And in his end, he will find Samuel again by inquiring of a seer. This is my word to you today. The story of Samuel and Saul today. Next week, we get into the story of David and Saul. It's a phenomenal story. How many Sauls are in the world? How many? Saul was a stately looking man. King of Israel, the first king. Yet God would find another king for these children in replacement of Saul. He would show firsthand why you don't choose off of looks, relationships, and the source thereof. He would lead these people through activity in which they would all be privy to of his power by way of allowing this scenario, these events to unravel themselves. Both the crowning of Saul and the hunting of David, to show his power and his wisdom, and to teach these people firsthand what's important, what attributes matter, and how God will bless you and will protect you and will cover you when you have these attributes. And most importantly, how those that lead, that have these attributes, bless the house. The years that David was king were some of the most phenomenal years that this house ever had, outside of the years of Moses and Joshua. The years that King David, led these people were the most protected, the most abundant, and the most prosperous years of the entirety of this house. Hands down. And it was all because the leadership, the one that was captain of the ship, was aligned properly. Even in his mistakes, because he had them, he knew how to handle himself and to own them and not run and hide from them and cast all of his burdens off on other people. Can't wait to get further into the story. I love the king. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. You're loved more than you'll ever know. I'll never stop telling you. Be good to yourselves and be good to one another. Peace and love.